In a world where the marks think they know better than the wrestlers and the bookers, the Fantasy Booking Institute exists to pretty much do exactly that. This is a visit from the FBI.
This is Dan the Dad, and you should listen to Raw and Order or you're grounded.
Welcome to another episode of Raw and Order, the Fantasy Booking Institute, or as I've been calling it lately, the weekly wrestling game night. I am your host, Detective Mark Sparks, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. What's going on, man? How are you?
There's no raining tonight. No raining. So
raining.
I won't get cut
So
off
no
like
cutout.
last night.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
We lost you right at the end last night, so.
I went early.
Right at the end.
Blew out just a hair early.
Hey, listen, man, I know your pull-up game is tight.
Anyway, what's up, man?
Allegedly.
Long time no talk. It feels like it's been 23, 22 hours.
22 hours, yeah. So we're going to do wrestling game. No JLB because he didn't return our text.
Because it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. He's probably out drinking with his buddies or something. Giving him crap. This is going to be wrestling game night. We'll probably keep it short since we're starting late and we only have the two of us here. Wrestling game night is usually when we play some games, we do some fantasy booking, we do a little bit of fun stuff there. My topic for tonight is very much related to the pay-per-views over the weekend. So I'm going to give D.A. Fabe a chance if he would like to go first or if he wants to just...
Okay, because mine will be very time capable of just being crushed fast or not.
Really, mine actually is going back to the roots of fantasy booking for this, in the fact that we had a review of the weekend in wrestling. I don't know if you have had a chance to watch AEW yet. Probably not.
No, I worked today. Yeah,
but you did watch Night of Champions. You did watch NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you had complaints against NXT. It did not live up to your expectations overall.
I was pumped for it, and it just wasn't.
All of us agreed that Night of Champions was overall the best of the weekend. But none of these shows were perfect. And I don't think any of us said any of these shows were best of the year candidates.
I think Night of Champions is best of the year for WWE, but not overall.
Yeah, but I'm talking best of the year overall. Night of Champions might have been WWE's best, but it still wasn't.
Which is promising, because I think they can still go up from there.
So, I more or less wanted to have just kind of a fantasy booking discussion of how you would change these things. How would you have made NXT better? How would you have made Night of Champions better? If you were given the book, what would you have done differently to put them up over the edge?
So there's a couple things I do on Night of Champions. I feel like when you're opening up a new title, that I don't want to say a stipulation, but like a 2 out of 3 would have been a better move there. And they could have told the story of Cessny still. They could have had him tap first and then get up and kind of shake it off and hit the pedigree and the stomp still. That could have still happened. And it doesn't show up.
Well, it's because it's black on black. This one will show up, but the animation doesn't show up for whatever reason.
Oh. Wah, wah, wah.
StreamYard needs to step its game up with the...
Hey, Big JC, what's going on, man? Yes. Anyway, I don't know if I don't feel like Last Man Standing's move, especially considering they did it on NXT. I feel like 2 out of 3 falls would have been the way to open up with Seth and AJ, and I wouldn't have opened with them. At the end of the day, regardless of what story you're telling with the bloodline, I feel like you should have closed with them with the new title. You have regulated that title already to second to Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel like happened. So, number one booking decision I make is that championship is going to go on last, so that we can have confetti and we can have fireworks and we can have all the things we need to have. You could have still done the end of that storyline where Roman's just befuddled and lost and everything, and he walks out, and we're still on that cliffhanger. We don't have to do any vignettes and back. You can even have somebody try to get a vignette, and Heyman is outside the locker room. No, nobody's coming in, type thing. You can have Jay and Jimmy, man, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Just kind of getting at each other a little bit. The whole thing, you can do that. You can have the celebrations from Sammy and KO. But you needed to have the World Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, be last. That's the number one thing I do. Number two, I don't book Rhea versus Natalya. I don't care who you have to put in there that is a contender. I think a smart move, knowing that she has an injured partner, would have been Raquel Rodriguez. Bring Raquel Rodriguez in, let Rhea get the rubber match, or let Rhea get the second match, so that the two of them can eventually build towards a final match. And that's a 4 or 5 year storyline arc, because if you remember, Raquel beat Rhea for the title in NXT. Oh no, Raquel didn't beat Rhea for the title. Charlotte beat Rhea for the title. Raquel beat Rhea in NXT, and it gives you the powerhouse match. And then, unless of course you had a women's tag match, you'd have put William Regal on TV.
He's co-hosting the show now.
Oh, is he? He didn't like what I just said.
Yeah. No. War Games.
War Games.
I'm super stoked about that, by the way.
That's
Pro
a very,
Wrestling
very
Tees.
cool signature one.
That is by far my best autographed picture yet from the Pro Wrestling Craze. So, do you still have it be AJ Styles? Is AJ still the right choice for?
I think, especially in the 2 out of 3 falls, he is. I think you can get 45 minutes out of the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Me personally, I would have put Finn Balor. I would have had Seth versus Finn. I would have had their semifinal match be the final match. There's nothing against AJ, but I think it was dumb that SmackDown was even in the running for that. It was supposed to be a Raw title. But.
And so, anyway, I have Raquel do that, and then I finish that. Well, I maybe don't do the women's tag there. You run a lot of risk the more women you put over in Saudi Arabia, and there's a reasonable amount of let's be safe with our thought processes here. Let's not risk anybody's lives. I don't think it's right. I'm just...
Well, frankly, putting Rhea on the card at all in Saudi Arabia is a little bit...
risky?
Risky. She, everyone else has a very... feminine look, but also a very conforming look. Asuka looks like an Asian woman with face paint on. Bianca Belair looks just like a regular black woman. Natalia looks like a regular woman. Becky and Trish look like regular women. Rhea Ripley comes out and she's got a look that very easily in conservative, super conservative. I mean, excuse me, progressive, beautiful city of the future, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think I would have had I'd had a Raquel there. I don't think there was room for a women's tag, so I wouldn't have done that. I didn't like that it happened on Raw the next night, but they had to save something for Raw because everybody else was traveling. So I suppose. So yeah, I probably have the Raquel Rhea match, which gives us 12, 14 minutes there. I move AJ and Seth to, as I said, the highlight of the show. I'm gonna bring up the card again just because it's really hard to remember all that stuff. Oh, pardon me, I belched. I don't know that I change anything about the Trish Becky match. That definitely continues the story. That Gunther Mustafa Ali match was fire. It was fantastic. It didn't feel. Apparently, it was only 8 minutes and 35 seconds. It did not feel that short. So, Asuka and Bianca got 15 minutes, which was great. Those are probably the only changes I make to that card, really. So I'd add another half hour to it. Is what would have happened. Because I'd have given Rhea 12 to 15 minutes with Raquel Rodriguez, and then I'd have given Seth and AJ a little more time. I'm not saying that makes it an A++ pay-per-view. I just don't know what else I could change without completely revamping storylines. I mean, I've been itching for Roman to take a kick to the face.
Yeah. For me, the biggest thing, and this, again, is nothing against AJ, but I thought it was silly that there was even anyone from SmackDown involved in this title picture. And so I would have had the final of it be Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. And I don't necessarily think it needs a stipulation so much as it needs to be a focal point match.
It definitely needs to be at the end of the card.
They gave it 20 minutes. I would have given it closer to 30.
Yeah.
In fact, you could even play it.
That's why I like 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah. You could even play it with a hard 30-minute time limit and have them go to minute 29 and 45 seconds before someone gets a pin. You know what I mean? Right down to the wire.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing. But the Rhea versus Natalia thing, I just probably would have left it off. I know they called it Night of Champions, but like you pointed out, there already was some champions that weren't done on the pay-per-view at all. And there were also other matches on the pay-per-view that were not champions, you know?
Correct.
And so they didn't stick to it either way. Like, Austin Theory wasn't there with the U.S. title.
No, Roman didn't defend his
Roman didn't defend the
Universal WWE Universal Unified
title, whatever it is.
Undisputed, whatever they're going to call it now.
Yeah.
So,
and so you could easily have left Rhea versus Natalia just off the card entirely, and been fine. You know what I mean?
I think it would have elevated the card as a whole.
I think it may have. So, obviously WWE doesn't currently see Raquel Rodriguez as a single star. Her partner got injured, and instead of doing what they normally do, and that is move someone into the single scene when their partner's injured, they immediately go, "Oh no, your new partner is Shotzi, and you
Shotzi.
love her, and you're bestest of friends forever." So obviously they don't see her right now as ready for a singles push.
No, but I
I'm
think
not
she could have taken a
necessarily-
quality loss to Rhea.
but I think there are other people on the roster that they could have put there. I've talked about them last night. I mean, you could have put Candice LeRae there, Rhea versus Candice LeRae. Have them put on a match of the
Work rate style match.
a pint-sized pixie versus the powerhouse. You know what I mean?
Something different there is all I would want. And
If
I
you
don't know
needed
what
to.
that is.
I probably, and this is gonna be like, I understand why they put it on there, but based on the story they told, I probably would have just left the Brock versus Cody off of the card entirely.
No, I probably still do that one.
I know why they did it. I understand that. But like,
You got really muted, bud.
I
There you go.
am I still muted? I didn't
Nope.
move at all. I don't know what happened there.
That
Anyways,
was weird.
I understand why they did it. I understand all that. I just I don't think it brought anything new to the storyline. I don't think it brought anything new to the thing.
You got Brock a win.
Again,
It makes Cody's next win more valuable.
they could have done that at any time. Like, they shoehorned it into Night of Champions. It's not a championship match, right?
Yeah, I don't. They don't. They have played that card before, but they don't play that card all the time.
They don't. And obviously, they didn't. Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch wasn't. But my point still being, they shoehorned it in. They fast-tracked the storyline of it. And I think the build could have done more. It could have been a 2-month or 3-month long build of Cody and Brock. Just every time Cody starts to get any momentum in one direction, Brock comes out and destroys him, and then deuces off. So I just don't. I think this was too early for this match. Also, this whole broken arm angle, I don't think it helped them. I mean, they obviously didn't use it in the match, right?
No.
We talked about that last, and that's why I think the pay-per-view, because you get rid of that 9 minutes and 40 seconds, right? You get rid of the Rhea versus Natalya minute. That's 10 extra minutes you can devote to the Seth Rollins match. You can give Gunther versus Mustafa Ali another couple minutes, all that stuff, and you wouldn't have changed the length of the pay-per-view.
No.
And then all of the matches on it would have been higher quality because they would have been given more time to breathe, right? I mean, you literally could have cutting those two matches. You could have made it so there wasn't a single match that was under 15 minutes long on the pay-per-view and not changed anything, not changed the length of the pay-per-view.
Well, Brock likes Saudi money.
Yep.
Which means that Backlash should not have been the first match. Brock should have been like, I'm not coming to the Backlash.
No. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about it. If we really want to say, let's find a way for Brock to get that Saudi money. As much as I like Mustafa Ali, the money match
is Gunther versus Brock.
Gunther versus Brock.
Yes,
Put that on instead.
And give that 22 minutes. Yeah. Or not. I don't know if those two can handle beating each other like that for 22 minutes. We know Gunther can. But...
So we're going to do the same conversation, though, about Backlash instead. Not Backlash, Battlegrounds. How do we make Battlegrounds better? because I'll point out that I look at the reviews of Battlegrounds, and we're in the minority in not thinking it was great.
Oh man. Um, I like the ultimate underdog story, but I feel like it gets told a little bit too much, and Wesley is a good example of that. Joe Gacy and Tyler Bate both belong to separate factions. Wesley should not have been able to overcome a faction in a triple threat. Just, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, the thing always bugs me in triple threats and fatal four ways and whatever you want to call it. Any of these matches that have no DQ stipulations, when you've got a heel group, which
Joe Gacy's group is.
Joe Gacy's group is. There is no reason, absolutely no reason, that the heels don't just come out
and clobber you
at the beginning and fucking just clobber you. Exactly. There's no reason.
Whole group of 4 just beating up on 2. Now, you can have a whoops, you got too cocky and sent your guys to the back and you were going to finish it off. That's fine, but the Open should start with, I'm going to cheat to win.
Yep. Or you can, have the good guys come out for the rescue. You know what I mean?
Chase off the other guys.
Yeah, Wesley have a bunch of friends who come out and are like, I'm going to take care of you. And they chase them off and then everything's fine. But you didn't do that.
NXT is really enjoying the mid-90s face champion. I am here to help. You can have Carmelo Hayes play that in a heartbeat for Wesley. Be like, I expect you to challenge for my title in the future, so I need you healthy. It tells the whole story. It tells the whole reason why they came out and protected him. So, I don't think Wesley should have won that match. I think he could have it back. I just don't think he should have won it. I have expressed my feelings on the Heritage Cup. I don't know. It was just so fucking sloppy. And the weird corner man. Apparently, from what I read after the fact, they are attempting to create a faction from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
so like I say, I don't follow the storyline, but Oro Mensa is apparently a on again, off again friend with Noam Dar, and so when he came out to be in Noam Dar's corner, that was a big deal. Nathan Frazier was just kind of in Dragon Lee's corner. Like I said, we didn't like it so much, but Sportskeeda gave it a B. I don't either of us would have given it a B, but I don't
think the match by itself, regardless of the not my favorite rules, I don't think the match by itself gets a B.
Like I said yesterday, I don't have a problem with the rule set. My problem is it doesn't fit Dragon Lee.
No. It
just doesn't.
In which case, it should have been a much more convincing win by Noam Dar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's... I don't know. That's... I don't know how to fix that other than a ladder match instead, or something that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
I would change precisely 0 about the Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak match. Precisely nothing. That is a match of the year candidate. It was so good. Creed Brothers and Gallus. I guess I just wasn't invested. I mean, where were you at with that? Were you just not
Um,
invested?
yeah, the problem with that is I mentioned it
Again,
the other day is
it's
uh this is not trying to make a dig at the Creed brothers, but they just to me look like generic creator wrestlers from WWE 2K22, and uh I'm not kidding you. The one that does the cannonball dive to the outside is just one bad day away from a torn MCL, you know. Uh
I guess the way I fix this is I don't let. Here's how I fix this. I don't let GYV out of their contract, and they're in this match instead of Creed Brothers. Because if you're gonna have generic wrestler, at least make it generic wrestler traditional. You know, which I mean, GYV is legitimately Revival 2.0. I mean, the concept behind their team is exactly that.
I mean, the good news is GYV hasn't been let out of their contract.
Oh, they've just requested their release,
They requested their release and were
and they're
told
not getting
no.
television time.
And so they then publicly said, "Okay, well, our contract is up in October, so we're just going to wait out until then." Um, and so they're in a tiff with WWE. WWE's trying to force them to re-sign. They're saying, "No, we want to go." Anyways, so I mean, really, WWE could have had them there. Said, "Listen, you're under contract. We want you at this pay-per-view. You're doing it," and they would have had to have done it.
I changed the competitors in the women's NXT match. It's been a long time since I've seen a fatal four way with a fatal elimination four way. I would have liked to see an elimination match here. I just bring that last round in so we can feature on pay per view the people that people know, because we didn't get Cora Jade on this premium live event, and we didn't get Roxanne Perez on this premium live event.
Yeah.
And we didn't get Indy Hartwell presenting the title, which I think would have been a smart move. Mm-hmm. Because Indy was the one that was called up and had the title stripped from her.
So I think they're trying to give Indy a full break from NXT. Just she's done, she's out.
That's fine, but if you don't have the people that people know, I mean, we mentioned it last night. We didn't have the people that people know. Mm-hmm. These two are good.
I think in their defense, their concept was we want to showcase the people that people don't know, and by bringing out the people that people know, it will overshadow the people that people don't know.
Not if it's an elimination match. You can still end with these two.
You know,
at some point, you have to have gasoline at your convenience store. Otherwise, you're just a corner market.
Yeah, but inversely, right? You have Triple H and HBK in an elimination match against two people that you don't know.
Yeah, you're probably.
It doesn't matter.
No, come on, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez are not.
I'm just saying, in terms of NXT women right now, they are the ones at the top of the food chain, and so you put them in there, they're going to overshadow. They wanted to focus on these. I will, though, in your side of it, State, this is one of the rare situations that we can say that AEW featured more women on their pay-per-view than NXT did.
And maybe that's the better move. So I don't like Wesley winning, but it's a good match to open up. We removed the Noam Dar Dragon Lee. I don't care how it happens. We just don't have that match. And we have Sol Ruka, Cora Jade, some what are other up and comers? Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, We do a 5-person gauntlet match. And it allows Roxanne Perez to keep her super duper babyface. We get the chance to see Sol Ruca. We get to see, I think she's injured, the Nikita Lyon, isn't she? Who's a draw.
Yeah, she's injured. Unfortunately, I'm going to.
Sol Ruca got smoked in the tournament, but
Well, I'm going to potentially ruin your day by letting you know that if I am correct, yep, Sol Ruca is also out with a torn ACL.
oh well, that might be
So
the problem then.
That's one of the ones.
I mean, you've got Blair Davenport. You could easily do.
Yeah.
Which
No, there's
is a
people.
draw. You could have
Gigi
Dolan
Dolan and JC Jane.
Yeah, and then you have that internal fight there. And if it's I like gauntlet matches a lot, and I really like them to build up and comers. You know, the gritty person. If you have, we'll name 5 here. So we're gonna open it with Roxanne Perez. And we're going to have Roxanne Perez start off against Wendy Chu. Allows you to exhibit Wendy Chu's fun character. Roxanne Perez gets her first win. Next out, Cora Jade. Oh, man. Well, there's bad blood here, you know? And so we do that match, and Cora Jade's got a lead for most of it. And then Roxanne Perez ekes one out. Okay, wow, that's amazing. Then Then Blair Davenport comes out. Mm-hmm. And Cora Jade sneaks out a win, or not Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez sneaks out a win there. And then we get a number 1 contender, and or we get Gigi Dolan comes out, and Gigi gets the win. So we get this pop for Gigi because Gigi's a well-known name. And then we have JC Jane come out and fuck over Gigi. So JC Jane's the contender. Well, then we have a heel champion, or a heel contender, going up against Tiffany Stratton, which is a good thing. And we've built up Roxanne Perez as a 4-competitor winner. We've said Gigi was close. We've now said 6 people are close. Well, 5. Everybody with Wendy Chu. Which Wendy Chu's close, the gimmick doesn't work for a champion. Right? That could easily replace that other match. I really think the weak point was that match. I mean, I understand why Mello and Braun closed. I didn't care. Can I be honest about that?
That's kind of what I said.
I don't know why I don't care on those two. I like them both. I don't care.
I'm just done with the story.
There's just not enough asshole to Braun Breaker to be an asshole. He needs to do something way more asshole-y than he's done.
Well, and I just said it last night. I just think I'm done with the story. They didn't strike with Braun Breaker when he was hot, right?
Yeah,
and
move him to the main roster for Royal Rumble. That was the move,
right?
At least have him show up. Then he can go back down to NXT, hang out until he loses to Mello, and come back up and go, well, I was in the Royal Rumble for 47 minutes and I eliminated 6 people. Oh, well, shit, okay.
My change,
I don't know how to fix NXT Battleground.
Yeah.
That's why we both thought it was so low.
My biggest change would have been I'm fine with the Heritage Cup. I would have just had a different competitor instead of Dragon Lee. And I'm just trying to think who jumps out at me as a good
option.
Good option for that. Noam Dar is definitely a heel, so you kind of want it to be a baby face. You know what? I'm gonna solve two problems with this. I'm gonna
Wesley
take
Noam Dar.
I was gonna take Tyler Bate out of that and
Okay.
put him against Noam Dar. Two traditional wrestler styles.
Sure.
Tyler Bate can play the babyface versus Noam Dar thing. And then now you have Wesley versus Joe Gacy. Instead of a triple threat, you can have it be a singles match, but you can give it a stipulation. You know what I mean? You could even play it up like Joe Gacy and his cult, the Schism, turned it into some sort of a I don't want to say casket match, but something similar to that that plays into their character. And Wesley can eke out the victory in this.
Yeah, it's not that I
Very
don't want
lively.
Wesley to win. It just doesn't make sense that he.
And then
lost.
Noam Dar instead
Or that he
goes
won.
against Tyler Bate for that one. EU Dragunov versus Dijak stays the same. Instead of Gallus versus the Creed brothers, I do, and I put this earlier on. So what I'm doing is going to add an additional match to the pay per view, but it does kind of what you did, in a way, and that is I put the semifinals for the women's tournament on the pay per view as well.
Same night as the pay per view.
Same night as the pay per view, right?
And the championship. Sorry.
Yep, and the championship. So
you open with both final matches, and then have the women's match close out as the main event.
I think I would probably have the women's match still be secondary to the Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes, but that means we start out with, instead of starting out with Wesley versus Joe Gacy, we start out with one of the women's matches. It's either Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez or Cora Jade versus Lyra Valkyria.
That's
I almost think Cora versus Lyra first.
Nah. Here's why. You're gonna again. There are people who won't know Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez's history that are gonna watch this because it's such a loaded weekend. They're just like, I'm gonna watch all the wrestling this weekend. Like that'll happen. And so if you open with Cora and she just lost, and Roxanne gets announced first, Cora can attack Roxanne as she's leaving, and Roxanne can show her grit and still go on in the match and everything like that. That's why I would do that.
Yeah. See, I do it the other way, where Cora versus Lyra goes first, Cora loses, and then later in the Tiffany Stratton versus Roxanne Perez, Cora comes out
and attacks
at some point to guarantee that Roxanne Perez doesn't get the shot.
That's fair.
But either way is fine. Either way works. So you start off with one of the women's matches, then you have Wesley, then you have the British rules match, then you have the other of the women's ones, then you have Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak, and the only thing I do with this is I give it 4 more minutes.
Yeah.
Just make it a little bit longer.
Fair. I don't even change the result. Like, you might change the results, but
I'd say the only thing I change is
4 minutes.
4 minutes more. But again, it just shy of 20 minutes, right?
It was such a good match.
That then gives all the women enough time to rest and recuperate before the Tiffany Stratton versus Lyra Valkyria title match, and then Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker finishes it out. The other thing, and this is going to be something that I actually talked with a coworker about. The other thing I change is I don't start it at 7:00 Central, 8 Eastern.
5.
Make
the opening to AEW compete with your main events.
Yes. More specifically, I say either 5 or you could do 6, right? So that you've got
You want the investment in the women's final to go up against the beginning of.
You've got them already, because then they're like, I'm already in this, so I'll watch the rest of this and then I'll watch AEW later, right? Because
if you're already playing dirty, play all the way dirty.
yeah, well, that's the deal. Is like, if these started at the same time, well, they didn't actually, because NXT didn't have a kickoff show, and AEW did, right? And kickoff shows are not great overall. The AEW kickoff show was slightly better than WWE's have been because it actually had a match on it.
Not a good one.
Not a great one, but it was an actual match, right?
Yes.
It at least was something other than just talking heads. But that's my point is, if you're going to go head to head with AEW and you're going to try to sabotage their big pay-per-view, and I don't know in terms of buy rate yet. I don't know if they've announced anything like that. I don't know how AEW's buy rate was. But if I'm booking NXT or programming it, I don't want them to go head to head, start to start, because then the people make the choice without watching any wrestling. They make the choice just based on loyalty and excitement for the card, right? You start it an hour earlier or 2 hours earlier, like you were saying, so 5 or 6 o'clock Central.
You already have Peacock because you're a wrestling fan.
These people like, well, the AEW show hasn't started, so I'll just watch Peacock. I've already got it, and then they start watching, and then they get invested, and then they just keep watching because, well, I can't tune over to AEW right now. We're in the middle of Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak right now.
Ooh, and now you don't know for sure where you're going to end up on AEW's card, but imagine if it's one of the poorer matches. Imagine if it's the squash matches by the women in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 women's squash matches. Both of them justified. But if the first thing you do is switch off and you see, oh, Toni Storm won the title in 48 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. What did I spend $50 for?
But that's my point, is in the end, if you get them invested in NXT, they watch it, they'll decide, well, I'll just pick up the AEW later. And then what you really run is the hope that they'll be like, by the time you're done, they'll look at the AEW and they're like, oh, I've already missed like an hour and 45 minutes of this.
I'll watch it tomorrow.
I'll just watch it tomorrow. I'll watch it later.
And then they catch spoilers and find out that it wasn't the most revered show of the year. They may not watch it at all.
Exactly.
Well, and I will tell you the reason I didn't watch it over NXT, quite frankly, was the amount of time. AEW averages 4.5 hours for its pay-per-views.
It wasn't
4 hours?
Wasn't that long for this one. It was 3.5. It was over about 10:30 and it started at 7.
But I mean, they've averaged 4 hours solidly the last few times, and I'm like, I don't want to be up all night. So I'll watch the short one tonight, buy the other one tomorrow on replay. And then I didn't end up being able to buy it on replay in time.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we've got AEW's buy rate yet in, which it's not surprising. It's only been 2 days, but I was like, there's a chance. There was a chance that they might have had overnight buy rates or something on it. Because it will be interesting to see if NXT being there affected it at all. I would imagine that most AEW fans did the same math I did, where they're like, I can watch NXT anytime. I have Peacock. I'm going to watch AEW live, and then I'll watch NXT on replay.
Which, to your point, you would have watched NXT's first 2 hours and said, I gotta switch.
Mhm.
What if they'd had you invested?
Yeah, there's a chance they could have won me for the night. That's my point. That's why you get started an hour or 2 hours earlier. Or there's another one that you could do, and that's do it as an afternoon pay-per-view and
And wear them out.
wear them out and make the plan B by the time it's time for AEW to start. These people are going, I've already watched 3.5 hours of wrestling today. I watched wrestling yesterday. I'm tired of wrestling for the weekend. Right. But you didn't do either of those. You tried to go head to head. And maybe it worked for you, maybe it didn't. We'll find out. But I'm suspicioning that it did not have as big of an effect as they.
I think you're right on the better move. Especially we've seen what King of the Ring did when the quarters or the quarters, the semis, and the championship were all in the same pay-per-view. People hung around, man.
Mm-hmm.
They hung around just in general.
It is a very great way to create a event pay-per-view with very little storylines going into it, right?
Yeah.
When we were doing our watch-alongs, right?
And develop storylines simultaneously.
When we were doing our watch-alongs, one of the watch-alongs that we did was this was 2 years ago when we did it, was a WCW pay-per-view that was
Only
a tag
happened
team
once.
tournament.
No, it was both the tag team and the singles.
Yeah, that's right. It was a tag team, but it was all in one night.
Yeah.
Tag team match, singles match, tag team match, singles match, tag team match, singles match.
I thought it was fun. I thought that was one of the more fun pay-per-views we've done a rewatch on. So, I don't know. I will agree with you. I think if you're going to go head-to-head, be the early one and put one of your best matches against one that you know that they don't feel confident about. Can you imagine? Just imagine a better Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker Carmelo Hayes wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a great match. Wasn't even their best match. The first one was better. But Braun Breaker Carmelo Hayes is going on, and it just happens to be going on at the same time as Adam Cole, Chris Jericho, Lights Out match. That two guys who were marks for AEW last night told me, meh, it was okay. I think it was great.
Yeah. I'm actually just scrolling back through our old podcasts,
seeing when we did that.
Seeing when we did that one. It was before we were doing video.
Oh, was it?
I believe. So we did it as an audio watch along. Or did we watch along, or did we all watch it separate and then talk about it?
That might have been what we were doing.
There's your botch along of the no ropes, barbed wire exploding time bomb death match. Botch along from Halloween Havoc 95.
That was Yeti, wasn't it?
Yes. Man, it's kind of fun going back to these old episodes when I still had the energy to give them each individual names and stuff.
Instead of just week of blah blah.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's the Kennel from Hell match.
Shut up. Just shut up. Worst suggestion you've ever made. Best for you, worst for us. Horrible. Yeah, I don't know that NXT is able to be made into I really like the idea of finishing the tournament on the pay-per-view, so on the PLE.
Mm-hmm.
Opening with those two matches, some backstage vignettes of after, in whatever way, Roxanne Perez has been attacked by Cora Jade. So you have her in the trainer's room, and Cora Jade comes in and just smacks her with a kendo stick across the face while she's sitting on the trainer's table. That was disgusting. I should have turned off my mic for that. I'll do it for the next one.
Man, I'm still trying to figure out when we did that. Here's back when we were still doing weekly reviews of the weekly wrestling.
That was tough.
That was tough. Frankly, I think we just needed more people to do it.
Yeah.
If
we'd had more fans that were vocal about it and whatnot, that probably would have helped too.
There's that too, but it was one of those things. If we would have had a team of like 5 or 6 people, all doing it,
and doing it as a pair would have been even better.
Mm-hmm.
Doing them alone was tough. So anyway, all right. Are we done with rebook? Or you want to rebook AEW?
I mean, we can talk about it since you haven't seen it. It's a little tougher for you to.
Yeah, I would say. So here's you had a frustration about Raquel Rodriguez just having her title stripped and getting thrown in with a new tag partner. I humbly believe that AEW's done it before. Why not just have Jamie Hayter relinquish the title because of injury?
I don't really have a problem with it, but
they've done it a lot recently in the recent title changes.
They've done a lot. They were kind of forced into it. Also, and I think this really comes down to Toni Storm needed to actually beat someone for the championship. Because last time she got awarded the interim championship by beating someone who wasn't currently champion. Right?
Fair enough.
And so they were like, let's actually have Toni Storm beat her.
But they see Toni Storm as a reliable bellwether.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They also see her as a very hot heel right now. Like,
yeah. But they didn't notice they didn't go to Paige or to
Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho.
Yeah. Well, I think
Tony's the best performer in the group.
I think Tony Khan has eyes and knows that Toni Storm
which one's going to sell merch?
$1 million a month in OnlyFans, and
she makes $1 million a month.
I don't know if she's at $1 million anymore. She at one point was
holy smokes
up there. I think Mandy does more, but
how much do you think I could make a month on OnlyFans?
And on what you put up there.
Well, fans. That's all they're allowed to put up there, right? Just pictures of fans.
She has now. It's impossible to know exactly how many subscribers she has because they don't publicize that. But she has 123,000 likes on her page, and she charges $20 a month for it.
So if it's half of those, then that's $1 million a month.
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know what she posts on it. She posts, once every week or two. Um, uh, but you know, once people subscribe, they stay subscribed. Typically, so she makes a lot of money on OnlyFans. She's a very and this is. I want to be clear. This is not saying anything about Soraya or Ruby Soho. Both beautiful in their own rights. Um, but Tony Storm knows how to market herself really, really well. And Ruby Soho's whole character is kind of not being conventional. And Paige's, or Soraya, I should say, gimmick is kind of not being the conventional one. And Tony Storm is very conventionally good looking. And I think Tony Khan, knows this is the one that I can make the most I can market the most off of. And this is they also know that she's very capable as a wrestler, and she already has been world champion before. So they even in the post show media did a whole storyline with her, basically saying, now it's about time. Uh, you gave me, I was the champion without the interim title. She even looked at Tony Khan and said, we all know the interim title was a pile of shit anyways. It was a pile of horse shit. So, but no, I understand, a 3-minute match for that.
Obviously, according to you, the Wardlow match needed some changes.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I would have had it be versus Luchasaurus, and here's the deal. AEW has done really well in some situations by using the veterans in a way to prop up the younger wrestlers. And Christian Cage is an example of them not doing it, in my book, because they've made Christian Cage the focus rather than
the veteran.
Than the veteran propping up. To give you an example, right? Sting 100% propped up Darby Allin, right?
Yeah.
He understood his point of being there was, yes, pop the crowds because I'm Sting, they're nostalgia hero and all that stuff. But my real reason to be here is to make Darby look fucking awesome.
Well, so here's another example. You don't have to go all the way to the Sting I'm taking second fiddle. Look what Jericho did for Guevara.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was more than Christian Cage does for his proteges.
Because the problem is Christian Cage makes himself the focus of the storyline, whereas Chris Jericho, while he's the focus, he's in the story.
Jericho Appreciation Society, all of them.
Yeah, it's all of them, and you look when Jericho Appreciation Society comes out, right? Who has the microphone first? Not Chris Jericho.
No.
It's Daddy Magic Matt Menard usually. And he says, "You want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard?" And the crowd pops, right? And then Cool Hand Angelo Parker says something. And then Sammy Guevara says something. And then, you know what I mean? It goes down the line. And then Chris Jericho comes on and says something or whatever, But it's always about, let's prop up these guys. Let's make these guys the focal point. And it goes back to Inner Circle, right? Inner Circle was make Sammy Guevara look huge. Make Ortiz and Santana look huge.
Yep.
Even when he did the whole team up with MJF, it was make MJF look like a big deal, right? The problem is Christian Cage in this, even though Wardlow came out victorious, this really to me felt like let's make Christian Cage look like the big deal. Because here's the from a physique standpoint, Christian Cage shouldn't have stood a handle against Wardlow.
No.
Wardlow should fucking decimate him.
Well,
Wardlow versus Luchasaurus is a different argument.
can we establish that I feel like two of the people that you're talking about haven't really finished the story? I don't feel like Wardlow. I do feel like Wardlow and Hobbs is over. I also feel like Wardlow and Joe is over. But I don't feel like Wardlow and MJF is over.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I don't feel like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy is over. I feel like Christian Cage and Jungle Boy is over. But I really don't feel like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy is over.
Well, because Luchasaurus is the perfect example of this. Luchasaurus is not being elevated by his relationship with Christian Cage. He went from being a relatively equal partner in Jurassic Express
To being Christian Cage's bitch.
to being Christian Cage's muscle.
Yeah.
His dumb, stupid muscle.
Hey, what's up, Tomko?
Yeah. He went from being, actually, I have a master's degree, to I grunt and I come out and I chokeslam people, you know? And that's kind of my problem is, where I have that. So there are 11 matches. You probably could have cut at least one. Wardlow versus Christian Cage is a match that I would have cut. It easily would have been on the chopping block. I think the Anarchy in the Arena match could have been tightened up a little bit. And then I said this last night. It was too heavy on Blackpool Combat Club and not heavy enough on the Elite. And I'm talking mostly from a story standpoint, because every time the Elite started to get some of their shine back, it was instantly killed by Blackpool Combat Club. And there needed to be a moment in there where the Elite ran the show for 2 or 3 minutes, solid. Like, we're running the show, we're beating up the people, we're standing, high in the ring. We're all together in the ring, and we do our pose off in the middle of the ring while they're all laying in heaps around us. And we look like we are the Elite. We're going to win this. But there was almost no point during the Anarchy in the Arena match that I thought the Elite had were going to win. There were awesome moments. The Sparkle Kick was one of them, but there just wasn't much of them. So I would have kept the Blackjack Battle Royal. I would have kept the same. I would have cut some time from the unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. And I would have, frankly, it didn't benefit from having Sabu there. They could have easily done an unsanctioned match, and just the rule being, like, instead of having Sabu in there to chase off the bad guys, just have it be, the only rule is none of your friends can help, right?
Sure.
So if Daniel Garcia or Matt Menard or Angelo Parker or Jake Hager show up, Chris Jericho loses. If Roderick Strong shows up, Adam Cole loses. So it's got to be one-on-one. That's the only rule. And then everything else, because the Sabu thing just didn't help the storyline. I would have given FTR a different storyline and a different match than against Triple J. That I have no desire to see Jeff Jarrett regularly on my TV screen. I don't have a problem with him having decisions in the background. I don't have a problem with him being a coach, being a mentor to people. But it's 2023, and frankly, I don't think Jeff Jarrett's ever drawn a dime, really. Even at his height, he was a second generation wrestler who lived off of his dad's fame. And
God, man, I don't know if I'd go that far, but okay.
I've never, even in 1997, every time Jeff Jarrett came on my screen, I'm just like, I'm out. This is snooze fest. He wanted to be baby Ric Flair and baby Hulk Hogan all in one, and he was neither of them.
No.
But so I would have, now this would have required starting a month ago and giving FTR a different storyline as a whole, because this is one of the longer running storylines in AEW. So I would have just gotten a different tag team to go against them. I don't know who offhand, because most of the tag teams wrestled in one way or another in the Blackjack Battle Royal. So I don't know who, but FTR deserved to have a tag team match. So I don't know. Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter. It is what it is. Quick and whatever. House of Black versus The Acclaimed. I don't think I would have changed much about it. Cleaned it up a little bit. I think this whole open house rules is a cool concept, but they've done it twice now, I think. 3 times. But 2 of the times, the rule, the open house rule that the challengers get to set was either no rule or just some silly, stupid rule. You know what I mean? And they need to have one where the challengers are like, here's the rule, and it's something that actually creates a challenge in the match. You know what I mean? Here's the rule that we're bringing. Tag rope strictly enforced. Or only one person can be on the apron waiting for a tag at the time. So, the trio, one of them has to drop down to the floor. Something, like that.
Yeah.
The only time that a rule was made that was they did it against the Lucha Brothers the other day, and the Lucha Brothers. And so I can't remember, Lucha Brothers and Commander, Lucha Brothers and someone else. Bandito, I think it was Lucha Brothers and Bandito. The rule that they implemented was it was one man in, one man out, right? Meaning you didn't have to tag. If someone went out of the ring, another person could just hop in the ring.
That would be really cool. Okay.
So
works great for their tag styles.
Yeah, works great for the Mexican tag styles. The Jade Cargill situation, I think it's fine the way it was. Chris Statlander coming back. We talked about it last night. I think it worked good. The 4 Pillars match, perfect. So, a lot of my thing would have been cleaning up that first half of the show. I would not have had the Hardys versus the Guns on the kickoff show. Just that was a bad match. So, anyways, we'll move on to your challenge to me or game.
Well, it's one of my favorites. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. We're going to do product placement. But we're just going to use the catchphrase. If you want to change the catchphrase that I give you to a different wrestler delivering it, you're welcome to. You just got to give the product, and you got to give the wrestler that it's going to go with the catchphrase. So, an obvious example we'll start off with is, "Ooh yeah," product and the wrestler. You can go with what's already there.
I feel like the "oh yeah" is just dying out to be used in an advertisement for either Blue Chew or like Magnum condoms.
Please don't snap into that Slim Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who's is it? Still Randy Savage?
Still Randy Savage.
And that's the bottom line. It's the only part you have to use. And that's the bottom line.
I immediately go to Finish Line Shoes.
Okay.
Store. And so it would be stone cold shopping
Still
for
Stone
shoes.
Cold. Yeah.
When you talk about catchphrases, I'm going to be honest with you, my brain can't
Probably
separate them from the wrestler. So
That's okay. There may come. I mean, I may look at you and go, "We want the smoke," and maybe you don't put it with the Street Profits. Maybe you give that to Titus Worldwide. I don't know. Still the Street Profits. Now go ahead. What do you want instead?
we want the smoke.
We want the smoke.
Traeger.
Yes! I was hoping you were going to go with meat.
Well, my brain first was like vape shops. I'm like, nah, Traeger.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
Duke's mayonnaise.
That is so true. Can you find it in Omaha?
Yes.
Oh my god. It is nowhere out here. Why is it? It is significantly better than Hellman's, and Hellman's is damn good. You need to get me a bottle so the next time I'm in Omaha I can get some.
The only mayo that I like that near the level of Duke's is Kewpie mayo.
I've never had QB.
Kewpie is you can only get it at the Asian stores because it's imported from Japan. So
Duke's light out. Mm-hmm. When was your first try of Duke's mayonnaise?
Sometime after I moved here. I saw a TikTok about Duke's mayo and I was like, you know what, I got to try that. And I looked at the stores.
It is insanely good. Is it at your Walmart's or is it?
I can't remember if I got it at Walmart or at Baker's.
God, I almost ordered a case of it online. Not that this is a Duke's mayonnaise commercial, but Duke's mayonnaise is legitimately the best mayonnaise on the planet.
Listen, when you got two fat guys talking about mayo, you listen to them.
All right. Do you still have Brett?
Yeah, probably.
That's pretty easy to change. Okay. All right, fair enough. If you smell, that's it. I have mine for this one. I totally have one for this one.
You know, the sad thing is, like, my brain keeps telling me, no, you got to do something with the smell. You got to do something with the smell. But the other part of my brain is like, no, this is obviously an ad for Crocs, right?
What the Crocs are cooking?
Is wearing. What the Crocs are wearing.
No, I'm still with The Rock and Village Pie Maker. That's where I would have gone with that.
Yeah, our Walmart carries Dukes here.
Dukes is so good.
Had to just check on the Walmart app. Fun fact, total side note, because I mentioned Crocs. Do you know Crocs, the shoe brand, owe almost all of their success to the movie Idiocracy?
I do know that.
Idiocracy
Yep.
was looking for a shoe
That
for
was
the
futuristic and stupid.
futuristic and stupid, and also importantly, because Idiocracy did not have a big budget, really cheap to supply a bunch of them for the show, for the movie. And there's at the time unheard of little shoe company that made these cheap foam shoes, pitched to them to do the shoes for it. And that's why we have Crocs. And also, I'm now 45 years old, and I understand how important feet are. And Crocs
Do
are
not wear
wonderful.
Crocs all day. What? Crocs are horrible for your feet, bud.
No, they're super good for your feet. It's sort of comfort.
Oh, yeah. They're terrible for your actual feet.
It all depends. Here's the deal: it's actually there's a split in podiatrists nowadays, and a lot of podiatrists say a lot of the stuff that we used to think we knew about feet is wrong. Arch supports are not that important. Our feet and bodies adapt really well. So fallen arches are fine as long as your body isn't in pain from it. And that it's more about protecting and comforting the feet. And that's why Crocs are great. The people who wear them, like my brother, I'm gonna point out, a doctor wears them all day long because he's on his feet all day long. And it's the only type of shoe that you can be on all day long and not have some sort of pain. It's also the only type of shoe you can wear in the OR and get various fluids on it and just rinse off without having to worry about.
True.
Anyways, back to the story.
Hugh just made the list.
Trying to decide whether I want to do like one of the dating apps or like Las Vegas.
What?
Just like the list to attend this show in Las Vegas because they're stupid exclusive. Like, do you know how hard it is to get tickets to Garth Brooks's concerts nowadays during his residency in Vegas?
Yeah.
You got to be on the list. You also, and this is true, have to lock your cell phones up in a bag and check them before you are allowed into the venue. Yeah,
Okay.
Me personally, not let my cell phone out of my sight. No, that means I don't go to a Garth Brooks concert in Vegas. But
I'm going to use somebody's entrance theme, but a specific line from it, and that is, "You think you know me?"
well, that sounds like it should be Tinder.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Awesome. Don't go like A&E's The Ms. and Mrs.
I was thinking Adventureland.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you're going cheap second-rate actor promoting cheap second-rate amusement park.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about Adventureland Des Moines. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And the Miz.
Perfect. Mean, but perfect. Oh. Rest in peace.
John J. Gentleman Mortuary. And that I only say that because there are I don't even know if there's how many there are, but there's at least more than one, I think.
Should I be uncomfortable with the fact that you know that?
On a gentleman. There's at least a couple of them here in Omaha, I believe. I think they've got a chain. And I just had to drive by them a lot when
Fair enough.
delivering for my previous job.
Never seen John J. Gentleman Mortuary.
John A. Gentleman. I just always thought it was a funny name for. It's like there's 5 of them in Omaha area.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Okay.
It's clobbering time. Now this one you might actually change.
I don't know if I change it. I just also don't know if I cheat and just use it for Marvel's The Fantastic Four.
Fair enough. Yes.
I wish I could make the Pornhub intro sound, but I can't. Maybe instead of Pornhub, I do Brazzers instead.
Okay. I got a little filthy there. Hustle, loyalty, respect.
That's Pornhub.
So Brazzers and Pornhub getting,
Or maybe OnlyFans. You know, hustle, loyalty, respect, I think fits OnlyFans.
those girls are getting their hustle on.
They're getting their hustle.
Want your loyalty and your respect. Good Lord. Acknowledge me. With Jones and Smith Law.
I'm thinking Arby's.
We have the meats. So you're going to like acknowledge the meats.
I think acknowledge me. I think it just comes down to, they get overlooked in the world of fast food.
Only because we had this conversation the other day when I was driving.
Yes.
I understand who's keeping it alive because I eat there. It's just not eight. It's not S tier like you put it, bud. You're just wrong. It's not S tier.
I am telling you, I even went on a TikTok rabbit hole of searching for reviews of Arby's on TikTok, and every one of them, I got a guy from Australia who visits America for his job and tries fast food, and he did it, and he's like, y'all are sleeping on Arby's. This thing is one of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
I will flat out say I had a Whataburger when I was in Texas.
Mhm.
I do not know what the hype is about.
He basically said the same about Whataburger. I think that's a regional thing, and I think a lot of it with Whataburger is nostalgia.
Yeah, I was to say because I'd rather go to Sonic. You get a similar size, similar burger, and Sonic tastes better.
Here's what it comes down to, right? The people who grew up around Whataburger is always going to be the taste of their childhood, right?
Yeah,
Much
we grew
like
up
when
we grew up around Runza, and it's not the taste of our childhood. Like it's
I don't know. Here's the deal: you've never lived far enough away from Arunza to matter. I lived down in New Orleans for a year, and I wasn't a Runza like guy. I would eat Runza like once every 6 months.
But what I'm saying is like the people who like Runza, they come from outside the area too.
I had my parents fly down frozen Runzas for me because I craved them so much.
I have gone a year without eating Runza before.
I went a year without eating Runza, living in my hometown prior to this. It was.
It's different when you're somewhere else, huh?
It's different when you're somewhere. It's also different when it's not an option, right? Like right now, I get a Runza craving, and within the next 2 days, I could have filled that craving. But when you live somewhere where you can't get a Runza filling, right, and you get that craving, then it's in your brain, and then you start talking to people. Man, there's this place up where I'm from called Runza, and oh, you should try their sandwiches. I think it's the same thing with Whataburger. It's these people who grow up around them, and then they move to someplace that doesn't have them.
Barring somebody who grew up with it, I've never met a person from outside the area go, "Oh my gosh, it's so good." Mm-hmm. That I have seen from Runza.
But the difference is with Runza, there's a uniqueness factor to it.
I feel like Amigos is more that than Runza. I have met people from outside the area who've had Amigos and I'm like, what's the hype? What do you mean, what's the hype? Mm-hmm. You got the chicken soft taco, right?
Yeah.
Regular soft taco?
I met but I saw a guy on TikTok who was from Boston, came out and tried Amigos and loved it.
Oh, it's fantastic!
Absolutely. He also tried Runza and fell for Runza pretty hard too, though.
Yeah, but as a whole, I don't think Amigos gets that. And the reason I say that is Amigos is a Nebraska original. You live in Omaha. How many Amigos are there in Omaha?
There's 2 less than there was when I moved here. There's more than one.
They had beefed up.
Yeah,
because when I was in college, there was one. It was on Dodge.
Yep.
So they must have put some out in Westo.
Amigos right now, there are 3 in Omaha.
Yeah. There used to be that many in Grand Island.
There was 4. So Amigos here in Omaha. Oh no, there's more because if you consider the surrounding area, there are currently 6. And I say surrounding area meaning there's one out at the outlet mall, right? Or somewhere around there.
Shit, there's not even one west of Kearney anymore.
But what happened here, Amigos started this new thing about 4 years ago. They build restaurants that don't have indoor seating. They are drive-through and walk-up only. Um,
Oh,
because now they don't have a dining room to take care of and clean. They don't have to worry about taking trash out. They don't have to worry about all of that stuff. They can run them on a minimal staff for it. Um, and so the director there's Amigos less than like 5 blocks from my house right now. Uh,
ooh,
there's the one on Dodge. There's one clear up on West Maple. Uh, there's one down by Fontenelle, south of the zoo. There's one down in La Vista,
that's the one south of the zoo.
and then, like I said, there's one in Gretna. So
Fun. All right, we'll give you two more here. Two more wrestler taglines, catch lines. Um, you know something, me, Gene?
so this will take some modification of the catchphrase a bit, but it's the little green steam machines.
You know something, little green steam machine? You do a great job of cleaning my floors. He played Mr. Mom. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Last but not least, and this is the one I wanted to do the whole thing for. Okay? Okay? Dexter Loomis. All the words he's ever said, right here. Not Samuel Shaw, Dexter Loomis.
Didn't he say I do?
I don't know if he did or not. I think he whispered it, maybe. Doesn't matter. We're going with the silent stare of Dexter Loomis.
Give me a second. Because I've got
And it doesn't have to be Dexter Loomis. You can choose for it to be Kane in his mask or whatever. But no talking stare.
I'm bringing something up because I wanna. If I can find it, do they even have it on market yet? They announced it, but here we go. Okay, so maybe I have to do this here. There we go.
Well, you're finally pulling it up. Okay. So he takes a drink of Gary Jones soda.
It's Mary Jones soda.
Mary Jones.
But I'm going to point out the word that's underneath Mary Jones soda.
Okay, I can't see it. So what's the word?
It starts with a C, and it rhymes with Anubis.
So, yeah. Yeah, man.
So it's just him. And then cans of this laying around him. Won't even let me go in to see the products. Look at that. 100 milligrams. Soda cans. Or 10 milligrams if you just want it there. It is the first cannabis-infused soda. You, of course, can only buy it in areas where cannabis is legal, which is not Nebraska. Look at those flavors: green apple, orange and cream, root beer.
Yeah, right up my alley. I was gonna go with brawny paper towels for this one.
You know,
just stares at the kids, stares at the soda, stares at the spill, stares at the kids, stares at the spill.
Por que no las dos? Stares at the kids, stares at the soda, stares at the spill, stares at the soda again, stares at the paper towels. You could have them both. It could be a group marketing.
Perfect. Let's do it. All right. So that's the end of my game. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes.
Game night gets a little tough when we can't do 3.
Yeah, it makes it a little tough. We started late. That also plays into it. We were both just exhausted from this weekend and wrestling and everything else. So, but hopefully we'll get JLB back here for this. Otherwise, I'm going to start finding a third band to do Tuesdays with us.
My band.
Anyways, yes. But make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can click that follow button on twitch.tv/RawandOrderWBU. You can follow us on YouTube at Raw and Order WBU. You can follow me on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, at Raw and Order WBU. You can follow me on Facebook. It's at Pissant Podcast, or you can just search for Raw and Order WBU and follow me there. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K. Fabe.
With his eyes closed, he wasn't anywhere close to it.
No way.
There you go. Just make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you are a Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe to us for absolutely free. So it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out a ton. You can also support us through other means, like buying things like the autographed shirt you see behind DA Fabe. I've got it behind me, but you can't see it.
Thanks for calling me JLB, bud.
I started to call you JLB, and I hoped you didn't notice. It's been a long day. You can support us by sending us tips or bits during the live stream. You can rewatch the live stream on Twitch or later on YouTube if you want to there. And we will be back on Sunday with a regular edition of the WBU. But for now, thank you all for joining us. We will see you soon.
Bye. Bye.